My friends, Orion is upon us. Stick around. Written by James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Cliff Burton, Orion is the seventh song of Metallica's third album, Master of Puppets, and is heralded by many as Cliff Burton's opus. Let's get started. So this is the song as it stands right now. This is the unaltered remaster. Right here is the enhanced bass remaster with the 8 equalizers working together. This is the Cliff separated track I took from MVSAP. It's pretty good. This is the Cliff bass track, the full track I got from YouTube. It's going to be a lot of work. And then right here I have some MVSAP from the complete track with just the low bass parts for the 2 bass solos, and this is an isolation of the chords that Cliff does at the beginning of the song. Let's take a look at the beginning of the song. This is the Cliff Burton isolated bass track from YouTube. And this is what it sounds like on the remaster at that point in the song. So you hear how loud it is at the beginning. I'm guessing that it was faded in, obviously. So in order to get that louder, because there is no way to split that. If you look, it's a completely compressed, it's like a keyboard track. There's no pick noise or pluck noise. So there's no spike in volume for me to split after the fact and then remove the end of the previous note and line it up and shorten it. So to get that keyboard-like bass track up in the mix, I used a track separator to remove the drums from the remaster, and that's this right here. And that has the fade in at the proper level because of the fact that it's from the remaster. So if I mute Cliff now, this thing right here, unsolo it, and that bass part's nice and loud. The next thing I want to show you is the 2 bass solos. If you've ever found the isolated bass track for Orion, there's no rhythm bass under the lead bass, but there is a complete bass track. So that has the rhythm bass under the bass solos. There's no isolated rhythm bass for those 2 sections available. So I used the track separating software to create them so that I could. And I'll tell you what, the bass solos, if you try and raise the volume on them, they're already at guitar solo level. But the pitch, in For Whom the Bell Tolls, if you watched that video, I'm not sure, the pitch on the higher notes goes kind of out of whack. So I wanted to just leave those at the volume they're at in this song and just raise the rhythm bass, which is the bass track that's underneath the entire song. But right here, is what's under that, and give that some volume. I'm going to turn this off real quick. You can still kind of hear the, when it's separated, the lead bass if I turn off this equalizer. Right, so what I did was I looked at it on a phase EQ and I saw that from 500 to 2 kilohertz was loud, and I just removed those 2 frequencies, 500 and 2 kilohertz, and now turn that back on. That thing is gone. So now also I can hit it from another way. Up here I have the isolated, well, the track separated bass stem. I might use those together just for those 2 solos, just to get that rhythm bass louder. So the track separating software did pretty well on Orion. They didn't really jack Cliff in the mix as much on this song because it was basically, a lot of Cliff was in this song. So you could get more off of the generated bass stem. And there's this great temptation because you can just have the song sound like this. You hear how much more you get. A lot more. But when you compare the two tracks together, there's just no comparison. I must split this beast into many pieces. So again, the track separating software is quiet here and loud here, and that's because it's a very blunt representation of what it can detect. When the rhythm guitars are at full volume and full distortion, it's quieter because that's all it can pick up. And when the rhythm guitars are playing melody and harmony bends, while the bass basically riffs, it's much easier to detect. You get a much bigger signal. Now, in order to use this, I would have to compress it and make this louder and make this quieter, or automate it heavily, which would take a lot of time, which is one more reason why I'm going to use the Cliff isolated bass track, which as you can see is the same volume, but it's going to be a matter of splitting it. And let's take a look at that second bass solo, which is actually a bass harmony solo. It's two basses in stereo. And again, if I try and raise that, it's already at guitar solo volume. There's no point in doing that. But it gets really wonky with the pitch on the higher stuff. But I separated from the complete track the rhythm bass, if you will. And I'll be sure to put some, probably some higher EQ just to give it back some of the tone of the distortion that was taken out by the track separating software. That brings us to the end of the song, and some of you know what I'm about to show you. Some of you are going to have your minds blown, but check this out. So obviously those three fills are not on the album, and it could be that maybe Cliff wanted to end the track going out swinging, and Fleming, James, and Lars didn't like those three fills. But for whatever reason, you can see this goes till about when the track ends up here, but the bass fades out before the track ends. So I think he was faded out before that happens, but it is during the duration of the song, and you can't hear it in the song. So, food for thought. So you see what I must do. I have the bass from the beginning of the song separated from the drums. I have the rhythm bass sections separated from the bass solos. Now I have to split the complete isolated bass track to line it up with the remaster and the enhanced. So wish me luck. The next episode is going to be about that process. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is the Metallica Re-Remastered series. Stay tuned for more. Written by James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Cliff Burton.